Scourge typed in the access code to unlock the door leading to the underground holding cells built beneath Nyriss's stronghold. He didn't acknowledge the guards standing watch as he stepped through, and they made no move to stop him. He had passed the checkpoint hundreds of times, and they had stopped bothering with Murtaugh's official security protocols long ago. He descended the stairs to the dimly lit dead-end hall at the bottom. There were 4 doors, 2 on either side. Beside each door was a monitor, showing a holovid of what was happening inside each cell. 3 of the cells were empty. The 4th had been occupied by the same prisoner for the past 3 years. The image showed Revan, seated in a familiar position, his legs crossed and his hands resting palms up on his thighs. His eyes were closed, his face calm, though Scourge knew that had as much to do with the medication as the meditation. The prisoner had not left his cell for even a single moment since his capture. There was a refresher in the corner, a small sink and a bed against one wall. In the beginning, they had brought in a chair to strap him to for his interrogation sessions, but after the first few months, Scourge convinced Nyriss that torturing Revan was an unproductive waste of both time and resources. By that time, Revan had already told them everything, as much as he could remember at least. He had revealed that the Jedi had wiped away most of his early memories, including all traces of what had happened to him in the Emperor's dungeons. He had confessed that he had come to Nathema in the hopes of reclaiming his lost past, following the same trail he had embarked on years before. He couldn't tell Nyriss anything about what she really asked, and though she still suspected he had been dominated by and then broken free of the Emperor's will, the scientists she had brought in to study him had been unable to find anything useful with all their testing and research. After 6 months, Nyriss had lost interest in her Jedi prisoner. Her attention moved on to other plots and intrigues, though she kept him alive just in case. But while Nyriss ignored Revan, Scourge had become obsessed with him. The Jedi's command of and connection to the Force was unlike anything Scourge had sensed in anyone else. Even though Revan was constantly drugged, it was impossible not to sense his strength. After years of studying him, Scourge had come to understand why the Jedi had such a fearsome reputation among the Sith. With men and women like Revan in their ranks, it was easy to see how they had beaten back the Sith invasion 1,000 years earlier. And it confirmed what he already suspected. The Emperor's plan to launch another invasion against the Republic at this point in time was tantamount to suicide. However, it was more than the Jedi's raw power that interested Scourge. Unlike all the instructors at the Academy, or even Nyriss herself, Revan had experienced both the light and the dark sides of the Force. He had a unique perspective on its strengths and weaknesses, and Scourge was eager to learn from his experience. It hadn't been easy, of course. Revan had regarded him as an enemy at first. Scourge was the being who tortured him for information. But over time, that had slowly changed. Revan was held in almost total seclusion. The guards were forbidden to speak with him, and once Nyriss all but forgot about him, the weekly visits from Scourge were his only source of conversation or contact. Scourge understood that long periods of solitary confinement could be even harder to endure than the brutal physical suffering of the interrogations. Loneliness and isolation would eat away at the mind and the spirit. It was inevitable that Revan would forge a relationship with the only person he ever had any contact with. It was a slow and subtle process, and even now they still regarded each other with suspicion and mistrust. But eventually, the instinctive need for interaction had caused Revan to open up. He would give carefully guarded answers to Scourge's questions about his beliefs and philosophies, or let slip bits and pieces of his knowledge of the Force. No matter how long they spoke, Revan was careful to say very little. But over the years, the tiny drops of wisdom had accumulated into a great reservoir for Scourge to draw on. Nyriss may have had no further use for Revan, But Scourge was going to exploit this invaluable resource for all it's worth. Scourge unlocked the door to Revan's cell. The Jedi was still wearing the same brown robes he had been captured in. The clothes, like the prisoner himself, had not been properly cleaned in 3 years. Scourge winced at the stale, pungent scent wafting off the human, but it was a small price to pay, considering how much he had already gained from their regular visits.
"Revan,"
he said, noting that the prisoner's eyes were still closed.
"I wish to speak with you."